freedom,
family,
world unity.
All these things and more will be discussed on this podcast.
Real stories, real people, real debates. On this podcast, we like to express our freedoms and talk about anything and everything goes.
Like freedom, family is important to us, and anybody that is listening, watching, or coming on the show as a guest star are all considered part of the greatest family to ever bless the solar system, the human race. No matter who you are, where you come from, you will always have a voice here on this podcast.
We like to flex our First Amendment, where all speeches and opinions are accepted for the right of freedom of speech. We have a saying we like to live by. Live life with eyes wide open. Being open-minded leads to true understanding of the world as it really is. Please, come, join us, and enjoy this experience as we embark on this journey of truth as we dismantle the subjective truth. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm your co-host, Victoria.
And you're experiencing High Consciousness.
Disclaimer. Any and all information on topics presented are to the best of all who is present in each episode's knowledge. The goal of this podcast is to bring people together and set the example we all wish to see in our everyday lives. Whether it's home life, education, politics, history, business, etc. Any and all subjects can and will be talked and peacefully debated about on this podcast. On debate episodes, there will be a set rules of debate that hosts and guests alike must follow. We ask that you, the audience, like we ask of our guests, in the comments to please try to keep the language as clean as possible. We are a podcast for entertainment as well as educational purposes. Here we are all equal no matter what race, age, or gender. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Hi, y'all. I'm the host, Nicholas.
And I'm your co-host, Victoria, and we are
High Consciousness.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to another episode of High Consciousness. Today's chapter is Chapter 8, The Prophecies of Nostradamus. But today is another special guest episode. We have our very good friend, Dr. G.
And he's going to be doing a little Q&A after the reading of this chapter. So, the little chapter review on the last chapter was the secret society is being pushed further into previous chapters. Actually, that was the chapter before the chapter.
Okay, maybe we need a little review because I did read ahead. The new identity for Christopher Columbus.
That's right, because Christopher Columbus was a Greek.
Yeah, potentially a Greek prince. And the whole legend of Isabella and her jewels and stuff that he was going to be granted after the founding of the New World seems to be more a fable rather than truth that we all knew and grew up with. So the chapter suggests, not us. So the chapter suggests.
I mean, there's many mysteries of Christopher Columbus to this day. We still don't know his birth date. It ranges from August 15th to October 31st. And it's still the legends of 120 villages claim that he lives there. Or not 120, but 20 villages in Italy.
20 different cities in Italy claim, 20 cities in Europe, I think, claim, he's from here, but he's not. Or he is. I don't know. We don't know. And apparently in 1944 they didn't know either. And still to this day, we still kind of don't know.
We know a little more facts. I'm pretty sure you look up today, we have a little more details. But as far as knowing the major questions, no, we do not.
Now, guys, may I present a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Professor G.
Now, there are some people that may, have the belief. Some say that Nostradamus could see into the future, or maybe that he had visions of predictions of the future. What do you think the validity is to those claims, throughout history?
Well, statistics tell us that he has about a 75% accuracy of his visions coming true, including the ones that happened within his lifetime, 100 years after his lifetime, and even today, there's been a couple prophecies that he had made that have come true.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I can almost about stand in agreement.
He did predict the rise of Hitler.
To a certain degree.
To a certain degree.
Because you gotta realize his words could be described as other things, but when you actually go down the history and look back at his words, it's like, yeah, he, that can't potentially be it, as it kind of counts all like checks type deal in his prophecy. Kind
of crazy how, like, the people of the time, I guess, they wrote him off as a kook type deal, but, it's kind of funny the things that he saw, none of them of that time would actually be able to live to see.
True.
Well, some of them did, actually.
I also want to pose another question, not to get too, deep down the rabbit hole as we would go, but where do you think that somehow ties into the scientific theory of entanglement? The entanglement of maybe information. Just not trying to, like I said, not trying to venture too far into sci-fi.
Not only just the theory of entanglement, but it also brings about the almost like the theory, blending in with the theory of, the destiny of the quest or the order of the quest, or the, destiny factor.
Or how all these secret
how
societies
everything is always destined to have this specific destiny.
Private groups come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Say like all this is one common goal, and that's where it all comes to play, because secret destiny actually goes into more. We could talk all day about what the book has already told us, and basically like secret societies got driven down further deep down from the churches. They were like the philosopher, like Christopher Columbus could have been potentially in the secret society. He was just an agent of them, but he got sent out as an agent of the Queen, but he was another agent for another organization type deal.
But also within the last chapter, it tells us that not only like there's the potentiality that Christopher Columbus was part of these secret societies, but there may very well have been a cloaked figure even behind him that was puppeteering him and many others behind the scenes, and that cloaked figure had something to do with one of the many secret societies.
Okay, so I guess it would be fair to say that around that time, we can actually kind of stamp it as fact that there was such a thing as the mystery schools, or AKA as we would call them today, the mystery schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where it was just not necessarily forbidden knowledge or occult knowledge, but it was just
they got pushed away from Christian and knowledge of this and everything else, and therefore they had to go deeper into secrecy. Because therefore their knowledge became
dangerous to the political power at the time.
And they said, whatever, but the true way of nature, and we're just going to go about it as it is, and we're going to manipulate
you behind the scenes, whether you know it or not.
There we go.
And because during those agents that, like we were talking, like Christopher Columbus organizations, they actually will bring other agents with Christopher Columbus, and they will be left at the islands that he went to. Therefore, when they came back, it was always like an already established ordeal.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right.
Well, that's all my questions for now. I'm gonna let y'all continue with the show. I'm chime in as needed.
Like I said, this is Professor G, y'all. Q&A.
We this is what we encourage here on the show. This is exactly what we do. This is who we are. So we encourage anyone that watches the show, if you want to, leave a comment below and be like, hey, I want to come on the show. You are absolutely more than welcome. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into Chapter 9 of The Secret Destiny of America. The Prophecies of Nostradamus. Prologue. 11 years after Columbus reached our shores, an extraordinary man was born in France. In adult life, he was both a respected physician and a mystic who was able to write accurately the history of the world to come. There was no indication at the time that in the Western Hemisphere would arise a great nation, but Dr. Michel Nostradamus saw a civilization established there that would observe, always on a Thursday, a day to express thanksgiving for freedom of religion, freedom of opportunity, and freedom of life. He prophesied that this nation would free itself from the bonds of the mother country, would greatly prosper, and would have to fight several wars, one with the Orient, before becoming a great power in a pattern of world peace with other nations looking to it for leadership. All that he foretold is precisely according to the Platonic tradition. Woo!
Huh. The war
So,
with the
Adam-
Orient. So what, they're talking about America possibly going to war with Asia?
Quite potentially so.
Because if, Orient, I can only imagine that means Oriental people. And I can only think that can only describe as Asia. Right? I mean, what do you say on that, Professor G?
I can't really have a ready comment for you specifically on that specific question, but I do have something that I would like to focus on. That little in excerpt. The Platonic, what? Could you read that again?
The Platonic tradition.
The Platonic tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what exactly, what say you on that as far as the Platonic tradition? What does that encompass?
That encompasses with the character Platon, the name itself.
Plato.
So there was technically about to be a whole war just over
The treaties of Plato, the War of the treaties of Atlantis, and the whole back pattern on how that was kind of, in as they say in One Piece, the void century, the lost history of our humankind that we have all forgotten, type deal.
kind of like the whole hidden mathematics, hidden geometry type deal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can dig it. All right, continue. Go ahead.
All right. Continuing on with the reading. Histories are generally written about the men who prominently. Excuse me, I tripped over that word there. Histories are generally written about the men who prominently influence the events that make history. Little is written, though it might be of greater interest, about those shadowy figures who seem to always stand behind the men who make history. Michel Nostradamus, seer of France, is among the most extraordinary of such men. Born in 1503 and possessed of some inner source of knowledge beyond each of extraordinary mortals, he wrote the history of the world to come. 200 years later, the celebrated Illuminist and Rosicrucian, the Comte, C-O-M-T-E, Comte de Saint-Germain, remarked to his close friend, Prince Karl of Hesse-Kassel, that he was the one who had assisted Nostradamus in the calculation of his remarkable predictions. All this is far too shadowy for sober historians, although a number have spent considerable time and developed numerous headaches trying to trace the life of the elusive Comte, who was called by Frederick the Great, the man who does not die. Nostradamus was a respected physician, a man of outstanding medical accomplishments. Few details of his life are available, but from the context of his manuscripts, his epistles to the King of France, and his letters to his own son, it is evident that he too belonged to the Order of the Quest. Mystic, philosopher, astrologer, alchemist, and Kabbalist, Nostradamus was versed in all the secret lore disclosed only to those who have bound themselves with the oath of the Brotherhood. Whew! That's a lot.
It is a lot to process.
Now, here's my question. My first question is the oath of the Brotherhood. What is that? Could that potentially be an oath to maybe keep that knowledge a secret, just between them and the Order?
Yes.
Essentially.
Essentially,
in a
yes.
nutshell.
So basically saying the masses are not ready for it.
Yes.
Suggesting that the masses are not ready for this.
Yes and no.
Yes and
no. So here's what I come down to the detail. Is that we learned that from in our past that the Brotherhood started off with the secret knowledge and the hidden forbidden knowledge being open to the masses. And then it wasn't until a few got real greedy and a civil war broke out. And that was pretty much where, like in the Treaty of Plato, the treaties of Plato and the story of Atlantis and the 10 Kings came into play, where one became corrupted and all nine went against that one, and they stopped talking to each other. And it was like how one of those things, in the people and the masses, or the people that still did the teachings, found out that it wasn't working, that they just go ahead and did their selective few and just did the secret schools, because as they try to bring out more and more openality to, this kind of knowledge, they kept getting shunned and kept putting push onto secrecy. It was kind of like to the point where we had no choice but to keep everything as a secret because we're damned as we don't and we're damned if we do type deal.
I got one more question and I'll let y'all continue. Do you believe that these said mystery schools are around today?
Absolutely.
Okay, and to pose yet even another question, do you believe that these schools are more hidden in the guise of, your summa cum laude or your Yale and your Harvards and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay, only for the select few, or if
Yes.
you have the
Or
money
and
to
for
get
everyone.
in.
It's really for everyone because you gotta realize these kind of knowledge can be spread out anywhere. So these could be like planted anywhere type deal, but only looking for certain traits or certain characteristics.
Got you. Okay.
Because this kind of stuff is not typical. A big nose topic. It is a universal topic. Can be big nose, but the thing about it is who really is
It's not
going to
openly spoken about.
because no one actually takes the time to actually try and connect all the dots. Where did this come from? Where did that come from?
Or they're
how did this
written
come to
off
be
as-
over here type deal? And
Or someone-
how's this similar? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I believe that's where I guess most people would struggle is with the similarities of it
Mhm.
all. And let me just go ahead and say
And
this.
everybody's uniqueness, I would say.
And just let me let the audience know I'm just here for the questions that y'all may have. You know what I'm saying? I have my opinions, but I just want to be clear that I'm just asking questions on y'all's behalf, and I'm pretty sure that as a suggestion, I think maybe we should have a little Q&A at the end of this. See what the people have to say in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Comments are always open.
Yeah, there is no positive, negative. Whatever
No.
you have to say is whatever you have to say. Honestly, shoot, I mean, it'll probably give us fuel for our next subject. Subject,
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
For the next chapter.
whatever. So like after this, just know we're gonna have a little Q&A for the people that are watching and stuff like that. So
Yes,
if y'all
please.
want any other specific questions answered.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will do a Q&A episode on any questions that y'all may have, so that way we can discuss them here on the podcast, which is why we always encourage, not only to get us, kicking within the algorithm, but leave comments down below so that way we know what you are thinking and, maybe any questions that you may have that maybe possibly we can dig up and try to answer for you.
Yeah.
So, continue along with the reading. The prophecies of Nostradamus might have come entirely as revelations of the Spirit, but it is equally possible that in his quaint old doggerel verses, he included part of the plan of things to come, as already well set in the minds and purposes of his brother initiates. The first edition of the Prophecies of Nostradamus was published in 1660. At that time, Americans were still the happy hunting ground of Spanish adventurers. There was no indication that in the Western Hemisphere would arise a great nation. Yet Nostradamus writes a sufficient length of the future state of America to indicate an extraordinary knowledge. The old seer refers to this country under several names. He calls it the Hesperides, the Blessed Isles of the West. In another place, he simply names it America. In his third designation, it is the land of which keeps the Thursday. This last form is the most astonishing, for it refers to the unique American holiday, Thanksgiving, which always falls upon a Thursday. And this is the only holiday which depends on the day alone for its observance, and is particularly the American holiday which expresses thankfulness for freedom of religion, freedom of opportunity, and freedom of life, which is true. So Nostradamus predicted our whole Thanksgiving holiday, and the whole reason why we say that is because apparently, that's when, the first Thanksgiving happened was on a Thursday or something. So, yeah.
I can also see though, but here's another thing though. You said that when was those prophecies written? 16 what?
They were published in 1660.
1660. And
But
America was
Nostradamus-
founded 1775. I'm just saying, what if someone read those prophecies and made them come true? with that in hand. I'm just saying. Just saying.
No.
Well,
That's 80 years. That's 75 years. Therefore, that's at least a generation. You can teach at least 1 or 2 generations in that span.
No, that's 115 years. From 1660, from the publication of the predictions, that's 1660. 1775. That's 115 years.
So how many generations are we talking here?
2.
Then?
1 or 2. 1.5.
So
relatively,
this makes sense. So I'm just saying, what if the people that our founding fathers got into the Nostradamus prophecies and went to America, and therefore maybe as to this day is going with Nostradamus' prophecy?
And fun fact, 33 of our founding fathers, there's a magical number for the Freemasons there, 33. 33 of our founding fathers, including George Washington and Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and Adams, I believe, and Hancock, were all Freemasons. They were part of the secret societies, which is rounding back to chapter 7, the secret societies.
Because I don't know about the Nostradamus prophecies. Who doesn't know about the Nostradamus prophecies? But now that I'm actually looking into it, and now I'm giving a little time frame, now I'm kind of like putting 2 and 2 together. Like, oh, okay. We do have our own freedom and everything else, but we also guided through some sort of secret order. But we won't really, from what I'm understanding right now, what's to come is what's to come. I'm not saying we're going to go to war with Asia or anything else, but from this thing, from what this Nostradamus prophecy is, that we had to go with war at the Orient. We didn't go to war in China or in Asia. We went to war with Japan.
Well, technically, we didn't go to war with Japan. We just dropped 2 bombs on them, and that was it.
No, we went to their islands. You can't tell me that the unforgettable picture of the soldiers lifting up the American flag together. That was on a Japanese island. Iwo Jima. No, to Iwo, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Iwo Jima?
Not
That sounds about
right.
I don't want to quote wrongly, but
go ahead, look it up. We have it. I'm sorry to again go off a little topic off here, but we are talking about Thomas. Because if he's counting,
to source it anyway.
Exactly. So because if we're counting as Japan as an Orient country of Asia, or Asia as being Oriental in general, because I also thought the Oriental people were their own general country, or is that Asians in general? I don't know. That's what the prophecy says, and we went to war with Japan. So does that count, or is it count on for the later years?
Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
I'm almost inclined to really believe the latter. Really.
That's why I'm really inclined.
I almost want to say it's like something that hasn't really come.
U.S.
to
Marine Corps
fruition
War
just
Memorial
yet.
Famous Statue, which was taken by the iconic photograph, based on the iconic photograph taken by Associated Press. To recognize 6 soldiers who raised the American flag at Iwo Jima in the Japanese Volcano Islands on February 23rd, 1945, signifying the conclusion of the American campaign in the Pacific during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, see? We did go to war.
Yeah, so we did go to war with Japan already, but I mean...
But we didn't go on their main homeland. We just bombed their 2 major cities.
I think maybe potentially, not to bring, current politics into it.
Well, make
We're not bringing politics
at all into it.
Look at today's current world events, where, China is supposedly, a big problem for us over here in America. I mean, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I mean, there's all kinds of red flags everywhere, but, just for the sake of, educational purposes, what if the war that's to come is the one with China that everybody keeps screaming is supposedly coming?
And that would make sense, and therefore, from what Nostradamus says, is that we are planning to win it, and therefore we will become the better and enlightened society that we're supposed to be as, because therefore, I think in our perspective, now tell me if I'm wrong, Professor G, tell me if I'm wrong, but in our perspective, that everyone that has the good side of minded will rise up against, and not necessarily like within our government, maybe within our government, too, that it puts more power to the people. And then once China tries to spring a trap on us, but it doesn't mean like us not prophesying, but like,
just give
theorizing or
giving
whatever.
an educated guess or educated analysis or
just like at that point, all of us will have to join together. That don't want to go with the crazies or your typical person that doesn't think right in the head. That is right. That's that's okay with going on type deal. And
I'm gonna give you my opinion like this when it comes down to it.
Because at the end of the day, if we win this so-called war and enlighten ourselves and better the society, will it be it?
Well, I kind of want to lean more towards something you said earlier when when we were considering that, maybe this hasn't completely come to fruition yet. Yeah, we see the little. Well, I mean, we have
the little Easter eggs.
We have little Easter eggs, just like you say with Iwo Jima. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that to me, that's an Easter egg. Yeah, it was big, but it's not as big and on the gravitational level as.
She said
like
China,
what authors do. It's a
1.8.
foreshadow of what is to come.
That's more what I'm inclined to believe when it comes to this, and then also when to answer the other part of your question. When it comes to like who's gonna go with it and who's gonna stand and fight, I mean, I believe that comes down to information and free will, personally, because we could present the information, we could present the deception, but a person still has to decide what side of the fence they're gonna be on with their free will. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of more up to the individual. I can't personally. I'm not going to personally speak for myself in this, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying it's all up to whoever or whatever your moral beliefs are, or if you're even willing to convert your moral beliefs once you find out the truth of certain things. I guess you could call that, waking up from the Matrix, if you will, But I like I said, I believe that right now we are preparing. And I really can't necessarily say it's going to be China or whatever the case may be, because, when it comes to visions, even let's just consider visions for a moment. When it comes to visions, they don't really give us a specific time.
It could be North Korea. It could be Vietnam. It could be...
It might not even be anything that we currently know today.
Well, here's the thing about it is, though, we know geographically.
We know geographically.
We just know it's going to be somewhere from... That's why I say clearly, she made it a spot. Mm-hmm. I said Asia as in the continent. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I'm just using the context of, today's current world events and, keeping up with, the things everything that's going on around the world. And right now, China seems to be making a few moves where they could potentially cause a World War III to start popping off. And America definitely would get on that, because one of the things is that apparently they got their eyes on Taiwan, and America is, going to defend Taiwan and all this stuff that I've been hearing lately. So, if China does that, then America's going to war with China. So that's why I'm saying this Orient may very well be China. But I could be wrong at the same time. I'm just analyzing and recognizing the patterns of today's current world events. But there again, this was 1944. Wait, so then... Yeah, I think we have a bigger war to come.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a fair assessment. Anytime we've had like a major, let's just look at the patterns. I'm not going to throw dates or anything out there.
But you might as well, because No Jones is the pattern.
Well, the only reason I'm not going to throw dates out there is because I don't want to get anything wrong.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to misquote anything.
I was saying this book was written in 1944, and as we just saw, Iwo Jima was like a year later. But does it really count as that war with the Orient that maybe potentially Nostradamus was talking about?
I guess more of what I'm speaking on is the history of major, cataclysmic, highly destructive. Like, okay, the last thing we know that was really, really bad, Chernobyl, for example. You know what I'm saying?
That was bad.
That place is not going to be safe to be in for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of years to come. Mm-mm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what if the vision was on that magnitude? If that be the case, if we venture into that thought, then, yeah, it is yet to come. You know what I'm saying? But if we, like you say, if we look at current world events, I mean, it's also fair to say that it may have already happened. You know, it's really fair to say either or. We really don't know. All we can do is kind of look for it to come to pass. Either A, be prepared, or more of a phew, we dodged a bullet type deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure most Americans listening to this believe in being prepared. But then again, like I said, now we're going more, delving into more rightist, leftist type way of thinking, because, you know, we have some that trust the government and some that don't. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we like to say we're straight. We're kind of like in the middle, because we're not here, we're not here. We're kind of like right here.
All we can do is assume at this point. I mean, but at the end of the day, all we can also do is present the information. So all we're doing is presenting our information, our opinions. You know, we don't want anybody to take this as like, oh, y'all are, you know, on some kind of band. No, we're not on any type of bandwagon or anything.
No.
We're just, like I said, we're just throwing our thoughts out there, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is just a free space, free idea space. Let me just go ahead and just say that, you know. But no, I believe, like I said, even when it does come to the visions of Nostradamus, I also want to point out this particular fact that I believe maybe we skipped over in the topic. Also realize the power or understand the power of the church at that particular time. If I'm not mistaken, we were still on the earth is flat, and if you had anything to say about that, you might catch yourself at a stake on fire. You know, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I'm talking about the time of Nostradamus.
Let's go ahead and look it up.
But y'all source me if I'm wrong. We're about to source it, but y'all source me if I'm wrong.
I forgot to go to this stuff. My bad.
Because once again, if we're talking about mystery schools, well, the whole point of a mystery school being a mystery is so that the mainstream or that the surface world doesn't catch wind of it, correct?
Correct.
Because if the surface world caught wind of it, it would go right back to where you don't want it to go.
No.
All right. So the fact that this knowledge, the earth is flat, and then what was the thing you were saying that there was a whole war about to be over? The Platonic system. You know what I'm saying? Or more to reference the Platonic solids that we use today. You feel what I'm saying?
Today, those wars will be amongst the secret societies, but the thing about it is...
It's common knowledge today, though. You know what I'm saying? What we consider common knowledge.
Well, the thing about it is, though, is that they're going to prescribe it as one thing, but its actuality could be a whole nother thing.
There we go. Perception is key to it.
Remember, these are two secret societies at war right here. We don't necessarily know who's running, you know, the CCP. We don't know who's running.
We just know we're stuck in the middle. That's all we know. At the end of the day.
What are you looking at? Try to find out.
How should I quote the question? When did we discover, I guess, that the world was round?
Yeah, it's right there.
Or when was it accepted by the masses? More there, yeah, because we could have discovered it way long time ago, but the fact of you being able to talk about it and not get your tongue cut out is more of what...
That's a saying 500 BC. I don't know if our viewers caught that, but I'm seeing it on the second one below, and that's a gov, that they're saying 500 BC.
Pythagoras, who first proposed that the earth was round sometime around 500 BC.
Ooh.
But then there was something else.
God.
That said that Christopher Columbus...
Well, you gotta realize 500 BC is back when Atlantis, remember Plato.
Yeah, around when they were making, around that time when they were just making poetry about it.
Oh. Christopher Columbus never set out. Okay, but that's what some people believe.
Would believe. Some people would tell you
Christopher Columbus set out to prove that the earth wasn't flat.
No, that wasn't the case.
But that's what our raising belief, that's what they would have told you. We learned that in school. I can honestly be real. That was taught in the history book.
Maybe thought code?
Or even that he discovered America.
I'm getting so many different mixed reviews and stuff about this. It's not even
Mandela
funny.
effect, maybe.
This one actually has a whole book from the Library of Congress. Hold on, let's go back to that picture. Library of Congress, Wikipedia Commons, public domain. and Hot Springs, South Dakota, map of the squares as stationary Earth. And
Wow.
Chris G, do you see what you see on the screen?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say anything.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm not here for that.
Could you possibly
The four wind angels.
Could you possibly click on the picture and zoom in on? I just want to read that small little fine
Is there
print.
any way we could share this picture with the audience?
Yes, we are. We currently are right now.
Oh, okay.
Currently-
So they can see everything.
I'm
we
a
see.
try.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes.
I wasn't aware. My bad.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm gonna try and make it bigger, but I don't think I can. Maybe. Okay. Maybe if I save it. Save image. Flat Earth map.
Because there's that Earth
Okay.
wall, supposedly.
Oh, oops.
Where'd you go to?
Open file.
Mm-hmm. Give it a second. Boom.
There we go.
Now can we zoom in?
Yes.
'Cause These men are flying
On the globe at the rate of 65,000 miles per hour around the sun and 1,042 miles per hour around the center of the earth in their minds. Think of that speed. Think of that speed. And then
4 angels.
4 angels something. Why is that not as clear?
It's not big, that's why it's the fine print. I was worried about that.
Fine angels
4
standing on the
4 angels standing on the pillar.
on the 4 something of the something.
Interesting.
I still can't read it.
Oh, there's gonna be hell to try to read the bottom one then, because there's a whole bottom little section. And who's that professor? Got Frederick?
Professor Orlando Ferguson.
Orlando Ferguson, and he's the one that provoked 400
angels something
400
passages in the Bible that condemn the globe theory or the flying earth, and none sustain it. This map is the Bible map of the world.
Copyright by, it's copyrighted in 1863.
1893.
93.
1893. Okay.
And what's that fine print on the bottom? Can you read that fine print on the bottom? Scripture of the...
Scripture that condemns the globe theory. Okay. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Exodus 7:12. And the sun stood still and the moon stayed. Joshua 10:12-13. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Chronicles 16:30.
It's all theories of the Bible. It's
To
scriptures.
him that stretched out the earth and made the great lights, not worlds. Psalms 136:6-7. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth. Isaiah 12:10. The 4 corners of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. The whole earth. I keep having to go back forward. Is at rest. The whole earth is at rest. Isaiah 14:7. The prophecy concerning the globe theory. Isaiah 29th chapter. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. Isaiah 31. So the sun returned 10 degrees. Isaiah 38:8-9.
This is what all Isaiah
It is
is
he
saying.
that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. Isaiah 40:22. He that spread forth the earth. Isaiah, I think that says 52:5. 52:5. That spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. Isaiah 54:24. My hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth. My hand hath also laid the foundation of the earth. Isaiah 58:13. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the moon and the stars for a light by night, not worlds. Jeremiah 31:35-36. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood. Acts 2:20. Okay then. Well, there's the, biblical view on that one. Okay, so there's something down here. Send 25 cents to the author. It knocks the globe theory clean out. I mean, I wouldn't say it knocks it clean, but I mean, it's a very interesting perspective.
I mean, as far as that time period is concerned,
at least for the time period.
I mean, it would pass.
Yeah.
Because clearly that goes back to answering my question as far as the power of the church at that time period. Because you know how a lot of people say, hey, if you can't match it up with the word, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I really don't want to hear it, you know what I'm saying? So that right, I just kind of wanted a little confirmation on that. So yeah, going back to, more of what I was saying is like, yeah, it was a very dangerous time to even be talking about the things that we have regular access to right now. So I want everybody to understand that, like, okay, yeah, so what? That's what most people would say nowadays, but you have to understand that you literally would get, it would basically be treason against the church for you to even say that the earth is round. And if the wrong person heard you saying that, they would turn you into the church, and the church would torture you. So, yeah, this isn't one of those, freedom of speech like we have going on today type shit. This was a whole different time period. But anyway, continue.
Alright. To summarize the opinions of Nostradamus concerning the future destiny of the Western civilization is difficult because of the involved idiom of the original text. But he points out clearly certain things that will happen. He saw a great civilization would rise in the Western world. This civilization would free itself from the bonds of its mother country, then assume a free place among the temporal powers. The new country would flourish and extend its domain across the entire continent. It would grow rich and powerful, he predicted, and lived at peace with its sister, Canada. And he said that America would have to fight several wars, including one with the Orient. Wait, didn't I read all this?
Yeah, you did in the beginning of the book. Beginning of the chapter, in the synopsis.
Oh, yeah, I did. That's why it seems familiar. Sorry, guys. He said America would have to fight several wars, including one with the Orient. This conflict he describes as an eagle flying across the sun. The eagle flying against the rising sun. And in his day, neither the eagle nor the rising sun had significance in the slightest importance in the symbolism of nations. Oh boy!
Well, that kind of
three-body problem, and when the whole girl from China and how they say that their leader is the rising sun.
Now, for those of our audience that don't know what three-body problem is, we would suggest that y'all go watch.
Yes, please watch Three-Body Problem.
Either A, read the book, or B, watch the series on Netflix.
Probably both. Oh my goodness! Wow.
Rising sun. Now I can see definitely why people
eagle
would think
and the
it would be
rising sun.
Japan.
Or Japan, maybe.
That's what we can. And I can see now. I can see the conclusion with that too. Now, with that being part of the prophecy, the rising sun. Interesting.
The eagle flying against the rising sun.
Which we did which we did.
No, what is the symbol for America?
The eagle. Because of our constellation, the star constellation is the eagle. Believe it or not, China's star constellation is the dragon. Russia's constellation is the bear constellation. That's why their logo is the bear.
And China and Japan, they have the dragon. Because the Draco constellation is right above them.
And then the serpent constellation is right underneath Mexico.
Hence why Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's why all these ancient tribes and everything have all these mythical animals and their symbolism with them. Because they're star constellations. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Whew. All right. Fulfilling its destiny, Nostradamus foretold that America would become a great power in a pattern of world peace and would be looked up to by other nations of leadership against the common evils of the time.
4 leaderships.
In short, huh?
Does it say 4 leaderships?
4 leadership, yeah. You want me to read that one more time?
Yeah, I thought you said
Okay.
leadership.
Fulfilling its destiny, Nostradamus foretold that America would become a great power in a pattern of world peace and would be looked up to by other nations for leadership against the common evils of the time. In short, as Nostradamus foretells the story of the Blessed Isles, it is precisely according to the Platonic tradition. We cannot but wonder if he was a party to that tradition and knew exactly whereof he spoke. Whether the 16th century physician of France had his visions from within himself, or whether he merely wrote down what was given to him by another, we can never know. Conventional thinkers, doubting such prophetic powers, incline toward the second alternative, and that will leave them scarcely less comfortable of mind, for the existence of this secret brotherhood plan is then virtually admitted. Nostradamus is not the only prophet who sensed or knew the future of the Western Empire. There was Dr. Ebenezer Sibley, who flourished in England about the close of the 18th century. About the close, so like the end of the 18th century. It reported that Sibley had a shrewish wife, and it was to escape her tongue that he retired to a garret of his house to ponder the mysteries of the universe, his meals being passed to him through a hole in the door. That's kind of messed up. He's like, "Bye, honey, I'm gonna disappear into my secret room and ponder the,
The world's mysteries.
the mysteries of the universe. Feed me through the door, just to get away from her."
Don't knock on my
that's
door,
awful.
just feed me my food. I got a little sliding door for it.
Dr. Sibley
I can't really
divided.
imagine how that would be for guests. Honey, I can't treat you like a prisoner in your own home. I'm willingly doing it. It's for the world, dang it.
Trying to help humanity.
Right.
It's a tough job.
All I'm asking from you is just feed me. Unwillingly.
Feed me, Seymour. Anyway. Oh, goodness. Back to the
All
reading.
even needs a Scrooge.
I guess so. Apparently his wife was the cause of him becoming the Scrooge. Oh, anyway. Back to the reading. Dr. Sibley divided his time between an infallible elixir, which, if dissolved in wine, would dissolve all human ills, and the writing of long books dealing with astrology, physiology, and anatomy. In his day, the Republic was in its infancy, and brilliant politicians on the floor of the House of Commons were predicting that the rebellious colonies would soon be begging on bended knee to be restored to the British Commonwealth. Sibley, though a stout Britisher, expressed his regrets that he had to point out that, in one detail at least, an astrologer in his garret would prove wiser than the politicians in Europe. For sad to relate, the American colonies would not come home. The stars decreed otherwise. Not only would they remain outside the fold, he said, but they would grow rich and powerful, extending themselves across their continent. Americans would build great cities and develop world trade and industry, and one day, horrible thought, they would be stronger than the mother country. And this was the truth that must be spoken, if only through a hole in a garret door. Wow.
Oh, he had to told them boys. Nah, them boys, they're coming back. The Americans, they're gonna come back to
All
us.
those
They're like
politicians.
teenagers. They leave, they run away, and then they come back. They'll come back, and then that one day had to be the heartbreaker. Nah, dog, they're gonna be richer than us, huh? They're gonna be more powerful. What are you talking about? They're gonna build more better things than us, dog. I don't know how else.
They're gonna start world economy and industry, which we did. The world GDP did not exist until America was developed.
And the politicians want to say hoopla. Hoopla! Hoopla!
The astrologers said, you go hoopla all you want, but you're going to be hoo-ha when it happens.
Guys, can we take a brief intermission for the moment?
Brief intermission?
Just a brief one.
Alright, yeah. Hi, y'all. Now we're back. Alright. Now that we've had our brief intermission, let's get back to the reading. It would be remembered that among the ancients, astrology was one of the sciences of government. The prognostic aspect of the subject was not the main interest in the minds of such men as Pythagoras and Plato. These philosophers saw in the motion of the heavenly bodies and the order of the cosmos a great pattern of natural laws. The universe was a celestial empire populated with the planets and suns and moons in a heavenly arrangement which was a clue to the proper distribution of human affairs. The state they advocated should be patterned after the cosmos. Governments of men should be in harmony with the larger government of the world. Many old astrological books indicate clearly that the planetary symbols were used to represent the elements of a political system, and that the astrologers themselves were part of the order of the quest. Beneath the cloak of professional astrologers, they were the counselors advising kings and princes to establish better laws and rule their peoples more wisely. Nostradamus was consulted by 3 kings. Europe's most powerful queen, Catherine de' Medici, also consulted him on numerous occasions. His advice was always temperate and directed toward the public good. His scholarship gave a perspective on political problems that was beyond the scope of the professions of statescraft. So even Catherine de' Medici, who, like, you know, if you watch that show, Reign, I think it is, with the whole, like, story of Mary Queen of Scots and all that stuff, apparently that show was, like, kind of historically accurate, and I do think I remember her mentioning, or someone mentioning along the lines of the show somewhere, that Nostradamus was, like, one of the part of the council members in her court and stuff like that. So that's very interesting how we tie, you know, that kind of history in there. And he had 3 other kings that he was advising as well. So I guess, you know, his counselship or his predictions, I guess rounding back to the beginning of the conversation here, and answering your question, it seems that he was accurate enough to have at least 4 great powers on the, you know, Western continent to be consulting him. Nostradamus, all the petty princes of Europe in medieval times had their Merlins, wise old men who in many instances were the actual rulers of the state. It is obvious that these counselors were bound together by some common purpose. Their collective power would be considerable. And they were bound together in the secret society of unknown philosophers, moving the crowns of Europe as on a mighty chessboard. Men of this caliber bring about the mutations of empire, and it is bring about the mutations of empire. It is the general opinion that revolutions begin with the common people, but this is not true. The benevolently informed always guide and direct public opinion. Through the centuries, the prophecies of Nostradamus have continued to exercise a powerful force. Excuse me. Through the centuries, the prophecies of Nostradamus have continued to exercise a powerful force on the political destiny of the world. They have been translated into most of the languages of Europe. They were frequently quoted and reprinted during the period of the First World War, and in the Second World War, both the Axis and the Allied powers have quoted Nostradamus variously to serve their own purposes. It is in the larger picture of the world's future that Nostradamus indicates the coming of the Great League, an assembly of world powers. This league is to be the only human hope of peace and the only solution to competition between nations. The formation of this league begins the new life of the human race, and will allow the human being at last to emerge into the estate for which he was fashioned. Barbarianism ends with the beginning of world civilization. To be civilized, according to Cicero, is to reach the state of personal and collective behavior in which men can live together harmoniously and constructively, united for the betterment of all. By this definition, we have never been civilized. We have existed in a state of cultured savagery. The promise of Nostradamus is especially meaningful in these difficult years, for he assures us that the Commonwealth of Nations is to become a reality. Whew. So that is it for chapter 9.
I found something very interesting about that last part, about this whole league that's supposed to liberate us from our current division. I want to throw a thought out there, just something for thought. We are coming to a point to where, I'm not gonna say 50%, but a good percentage of America does not necessarily trust the government or the media. Like I said, there are some, but we are in a day and time where a lot of things are coming to the light. You know what I'm saying? And I dare venture to say that, in maybe the next 15 to 20 years, once we really have said enough, no more race games, no more sex games, I believe that once we come together as a people, like the people under the Constitution, you know what I'm saying?
No more identity politics.
Yeah, no more identity politics, no more of any of this stuff that's been keeping us divided for the past couple hundred years. But I will dare say that I believe that this league will be comprised mainly of us individuals. It's not like we're going to elect people to be over us anymore, because, we know that once you do that, they don't, the people you elect don't always have your best interest at heart, or the best interest of the people at heart. So I guess this time around, I can only imagine that this will be, once again, not only will this body be for the people, but they will also be among the people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's more of how I imagine, rather than the whole
apparatus of them being around the people.
Exactly.
And then it, trying to represent the people, it needs to just be the people.
And I guess more subliminally, it kind of would go to each and every one of you, me, and anybody that's, watching this video. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's almost under the belief of we create our own destiny. You know what I'm saying? But collectively, So
and we do.
I believe once we get to the point to where we want to, or we realize that we can manifest our destinies collectively, then we will be able to achieve this said vision. Because even going back to, I also have to go back to something that Nick said earlier, when he was saying, well, how do we know? Because the government knows these very same things. The powers that, I'm not going to say the government, but the powers that be know these exactly very same things. So they know the histories. They know, and I also will venture to say they have the resources and supplies at their disposal to fabricate said, said information. You know what I'm saying? But I believe, I am under the belief that no matter how much you fabricate something, or no matter how much you try to, put the lie in front of it, the truth is always gonna show itself. The real truth anyway. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's just my take on it. I'm very hopeful to see that specific portion of the chapter, come to fruition. Hopefully in our lifetime. Like right. As we would say, in the perfect world. Or those little sayings like we say, "What a time to be alive."
Oh, right.
I mean, when we consider all the things that, like I said, I don't know the age of how many of people watching our channel, but at the same time, I will also say this: shoot, if you're over 50, 60 years old and you're still here and kicking, you've seen some things. You've been through some things. So, yeah, what a time to be alive. We went from pagers and Walkmans to now I could talk to somebody on the other side of the world with the click of a button.
And see the whole entire face.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm actually kind of curious to see what the next 20 years will bring for humanity.
And also, not to mention that portal thing that they just opened in New York, where you can see into Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, and like that's freaking crazy. It looks like a Stargate, and it freaks me out. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like I kind of would like to see it myself, but I'm a little scared to be honest.
Skeptical about it.
I'm very skeptical about it. Like,
cause I mean, look, and for all us fans out there, if everybody remembers Stargate SG-1, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The series or whatever.
The series and the movie.
Yeah, and the movie. Not only the movie, but when you look at some of the things that we have created, like I said, not even 50 years, like a full 50 years later, we've made, there is, like, it's kind of crazy, like, when you wake up to it, what is sci-fi? Because everything that we once thought was sci-fi about 20 years ago
is reality
is
today.
now reality, you know what I'm saying? So, and that also goes, I said all that to also tie back into what I was saying about this whole league that the book was speaking about. You know what I'm saying? I just made those examples of how we manifest our own reality just to, how do I say? For the ones that do believe in, you know what I'm saying, our constitutional rights or just our God-given rights. Let's leave the Constitution out of it. Let's just say our God-given rights. Just the fact that you're here on this earth and, you know what I'm saying? You have certain rights that you are entitled to, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, because of the systems that have been put in place, you know, we have to fight for them. And unfortunately, peace and freedom has never came from not only is it not free, but it's never came from protesting. It's always been, what was that thing we said?
And war.
That's the thing we've always said. Peace and freedom never came through passive means.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we all don't like to talk about that, but you know what I'm saying? That's just kind of the reality of it, because the powers that be didn't gain the power by being passive.
Look at the American Revolution. We didn't earn these freedoms by simply protesting at the doors and letting them shoot us. I mean, hell, look at the Boston Massacre. They did that to us. Protesters didn't work. You know what we did? Alright, we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna throw out these nice ass tea that you made us tax and make.
Look, we've had enough of your ish, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
It's nice tea, so we're gonna throw it overboard.
And like I said, history will show that, like I said, it's never been through a passive means or a passive method. You basically...
It's always had to been through action.
There we go. It's always had to be action. Hey, we've had enough. We're tired of your games. We're tired of your lies and your problems and your solutions. No, we're going to do this ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, there are some that would rather, settle for the lie. Let them. It's okay. We're not here to convince anybody or bash anybody. This is your world at the end of the day. Yeah. It's all about how you want to live in it. It's all about how you want. Like, okay, let me give people a little tidbit for, our, because I'm independent. I am neither Republican nor Democrat. You know what I'm saying? I believe what I believe, but I will say this. When it comes to this whole Republican-Democrat conglomeration, I believe that all people should be more focused on what's going on locally. Like, if you want something fixed within your community, don't look for the president of the United States to fix it, guys.
Of course,
you go to your mayor. You go to the city council.
You
write to them. If there's some the housing authorities, all that stuff. If you want changes in your community, you got to know where to petition and get things done at. You know what I'm saying? And that's really only my message to, the people. Like, this might not be my last, time on here. But if this is my last time on here and y'all seeing me, I would like to leave y'all with that. It's on you. Balls in our court. You know what I'm saying? We kind of already know what side we want to be on, or we wouldn't be making this channel trying to bring certain information, or at least just bring certain ideas, you know what I'm saying? Because we live in a world where they really don't want us to think too much. They really just don't want us asking certain questions that might be hard for them to answer, or if they did answer said question, it would technically unravel their power over you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to dig. Don't be afraid to look. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really all I can really leave y'all with. But yeah, you know, I'm gonna let them two have the floor now.
In the words of Dax, just to kind of solidify what he's saying, they say that we're crazy for looking for answers, but we say you're crazy for not giving us proof. So don't ever be afraid to ask questions and look for the answers for yourself, because it all really comes down to, you know, you and your personal opinion, and what you have seen, what you put your hands on is what you come to be the conclusion. And sometimes most of us find that, you know, we all want the same thing. We all have the same ideals. Our morals and everything and values kind of line up all the same. And once we unify, there's nothing that can stop us. And we all just got to start down here and work our way up.
And I also want to add one more thing. There's just one more thing, and then I'm going to shut up. Because I know they're very tired of me talking. But I also want to say,
no, never.
Going back to our original statement, like if there's anybody that does want to, you know, necessarily throw any ideas in the pot, or even if you do want to, you know, hell, we can hop on the webcam or whatever, do us a live or whatever, collaboration, you know? I mean, we're look, the more people, the better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, you can agree, you can disagree, whatever. We accept it all. You know what I'm saying? We kind of accept it all on this platform. It's not like we're just kind of on, like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
We accept it all. So, you know, the criticism and all. So yeah. But yeah, you know, just come join the team, man. You know, come see what all this is about. I mean, hell, I'm not gonna say too much, you know, but you know, you can tell them about the Hall of Knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
The halls of ability.
No, just the halls of knowledge alone. Just this plethora of knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we're just. I don't want anybody to think that, oh, we're just coming up with this stuff, or what is this or what is that. Any book that we bring to y'all within, or that we suggest to y'all, we do want y'all to actually go look at these books for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, if you trust it from a reputable politician that'll lie to you, why not trust it from some people that are sitting right here on the same level?
Why not listen to your Daily Naval?
You know what I'm saying? Like, look,
Yeah,
I ain't gotta lie to you.
Yeah,
But,
we're your
you know,
average, you know, everyday person, just like you guys. We all, you know, go to work. We have our own lives, and, while, you know, we don't have kids yet, but, you know, we're still, you know, putting our nose to the grinder just like everybody else, and we're also trying to do something a little bit different that could maybe have, you know, some kind of positive impact in the future. And it all started with, you know, us. We all had the idea, like, hey, you know, we should all do a podcast. Like, why don't we do that? And so we decided, you know, switching our lives around just a little bit just to make a dream happen. And this is part of the beauty of being an American, is the fact that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can think it, you can do it. There's nothing you can't do. Your only limitation is what you put on yourself.
That is right.
Nick, any comments from you, sir?
No. I was about to go into closing comments because I believe our time is up, y'all. We're going into overtime.
All right, y'all make sure y'all leave that Q&A in the comments now.
Yep. And please
Yes.
like and subscribe and comment. You heard it from Professor G over here. Comment and subscribe and leave Q&A questions for us so we can have answers, that we can answer your questions and any of your concerns and anything into the book or anything of your future knowledge of whereabouts of what your 2 cents is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, y'all. Once again, this is High Consciousness, and we have been a great time. Love that
It's been a
build-up.
great time.
Love that build-up suspense. And remember, y'all, see things with eyes wide open.
But it's remember to live life with eyes wide open. Thanks, y'all, and have a good one. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe on all of our pages on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. We're still working on getting Twitch up. It's been a little bit of a process, but we're going to get there. Thank you, y'all, and have a wonderful and blessed day, y'all.